This is Angela Grayson from the Loving Life Fitness Podcast to help others in their fitness journey. All possible.
It's time to wake up. Here we go.
Hey everybody, we're going to be talking to Chuck Baio, who's from North Carolina. He is a physician up there, board certified of internal medicine and bariatric medicine. How are you today?
Good. Doing fine.
Thanks so much for coming on. We're going to be talking about these new medications that people are wanting to get hooked up with for weight loss, the diabetic medications. You're going to give us some more educated information about the drugs and how they work with the body. Go ahead and start with anywhere you'd like to, and then I'll go ahead and ask questions about things that I want to know.
Well, these medicines first started out for diabetics, and they found out that the diabetics were losing a lot of weight, so they gave it another name, same medication, and put it into weight loss. The medications are pretty neat. Your body makes this hormone, but it only lasts like 5 minutes or so, whereas now you can take this shot and it'll last for a week. And it's pretty neat. It really has made a big difference in weight loss. It's been really hard. I mean, I've helped a lot of people lose weight. Trouble is that they'll gain it back. Whereas this medicine, you can lose the weight and you can stay on it if you stay on a diet. But what the medication does, well, a couple of the medicines are, one is called Wegovy and Zepbound, and they're for weight loss. And the other ones are called, the ones for diabetics are called Mounjaro and Ozempic, and then there's also Trulicity. And they pretty much work all the same way. They suppress your appetite in your brain, and they slow your gut down, so the food stays in your gut longer. It also decreases the amount of sugar coming out of your liver, and it causes your pancreas to put out more insulin. And the other thing it does is it makes the muscle cells more sensitive to the insulin. So it does all those things. And there's been a lot of publicity about how bad these medicines are, which is just really cracks me up. They take the worst thing about these medicines and they blow them up. I was listening to a guy the other day, Matt Walsh on Daily Wire, and he was talking about how you have to stay on this medicine forever. The trouble is if you got blood pressure and cholesterol, you have to stay on the medicines. The side effects of these medicines, the biggest problem with these medicines is that you can get sick on your stomach with it. You can get nauseous with it. And maybe 20% of the people who get on this medicine can get that. And there's ways of working around that. I tell patients, listen, if you get sick on your stomach, we'll work around it. All these medicines are graduated. You start off with a low dose and you work your way up. The other issues with it, well, sometimes people get diarrhea with it, but that's not usually a major issue. The other things that you have to be concerned about is it can cause inflammation of the pancreas. And since I've been using this medicine for several years now, I've had one person who's had that problem. And if they do have that, it usually starts off with belly pain, significant belly pain. You see if it's their pancreas, you do some labs on them, and then if it is, you stop the medicine and they can't take it anymore. But again, I've got lots of people on this medicine and just this one person. The other things which are really kind of far out there, they did a lot of these studies on mice whose physiology of their total physiology, but of their thyroid also is different than people. But a significant amount of mice came down with thyroid cancer or nodules, okay? And the trouble is that there's no crossover between mice and people, which I thought was kind of funny because, how can you guys put this out there? But I tell patients about it. And then the other thing, which is really out there, is that there's an endocrine problem called multiple endocrine neoplasia type 2. And if you have that, or if anybody in your family has it, because it's a genetic predisposition, you can't take the medicine. But the only people who are going to see that are endocrinologists, because it's a very unusual medication.
So you should be tested for that?
No. If you don't have, well, you'd know if you have it. You definitely would know if you have it. You would run into problems. it affects all the endocrine systems in your body. So you would have come up with something ahead of time. All the years of practicing, I've never run across it. But the medicine works pretty good. I mean, people can lose weight and keep it off. I've had people, though, who've been on the medication and they have gained weight on it because they haven't been following a diet.
Yeah.
And essentially what the diet is, what I use is to help people out is to put them on a ketotic diet, usually about an 800-calorie diet. And if they stick to the diet with that medicine, they can lose weight significantly within a relatively short period of time. And then once they get down to the weight they want to be at, then they can titrate it. They can back off on it, maybe take it every couple of weeks or cut down on the dosage. So it works pretty nice.
Average, what kind of weight do you like to see people lose on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis, I'm really not too focused in on a monthly basis as opposed to a period of time. What I'll do for people is I'll see them every 2 weeks, or depending on how well they're doing, to see them every month. But I can get people to lose if they stick with the diet and stick with the medication. Either this medication or I've used phentermine too. I can get them to lose 40 pounds without much of a problem. The biggest thing about patients is they have to be motivated. And what's interesting about people is they'll lose a bunch of weight and then all of a sudden they'll plateau out. And they have to keep a diary because they come to see me for accountability. They don't want to come and see me and they say they haven't lost enough weight. But then again, actually, I won't even go there.
Can we talk a little bit about the plateau? Plateauing, our brains and our guts, they communicate to each other, right?
Uh-huh.
And somebody who's obese and they lose, let's say, 50 pounds, maybe more. Let's just say 50 pounds.
Uh-huh.
The body goes into like a starvation mode because it's used to receiving more. So the brain, then the nerves interact and say, my body is starving, and automatically you start getting hunger. The hormones start creating this hunger that you need to feed your body, and you start taking in more food because your body's telling you you're hungry. I think that's what the plateaus are all about. What do you think?
Well, my experience with that is that I tell patients, look, you need to, if you're on a ketotic diet, you have to, and I'm going to take a little diversion here to come back to you. A ketotic diet, what you do is you go into a ketosis where you're losing fat rather than carbs. What happens with the plateau is that usually what I found out, what happens is the people, so if you lose weight, a significant amount of weight, your metabolism slows down. And when your metabolism slows down, it's harder for you to lose weight. So I'd find out if I tell the patients, you got to exercise. Exercising, you're not going to lose weight by exercising. You're going to lose weight by diet and exercising. Exercising cranks up your metabolism again. And when you crank up your metabolism, then you continue to lose weight. And I'd find out with the plateau, it's more they're not exercising or they're not going to get calories in. I've had people, they starve themselves, especially get on this diet. Well, they don't want to eat. Well, okay, so I said, if you don't get enough calories in, your body's going to shut down too because it's going to save it's just going to lower the metabolism. So you got to eat the calories and you got to exercise. What's interesting about the plateau, a couple things is people find out that they haven't lost any weight, but their clothes have changed. They're looser than they were before. And the other thing is I find out people plateau is because they don't stick with the diet or they're not exercising. And that goes back to my other point. The reason people are motivated to a certain point, and they'll get to a certain point, and they'll plateau out, and they'll bring in their diary, and they'll say, okay, yeah, you want to lose more weight, but your diaries doesn't show that. And it's kind of like, even though their head wants to lose more weight, their whole general person is okay with where they're at. And I tell them, look, I can motivate you for about 5 minutes, but after that, I can't. So I tell them, something to think about if you want to keep losing weight. If you're motivated, fine. But if you're not motivated, it's going to be kind of tough.
Yes.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, so let's talk about side effects. I was reading that, heartburn, constipation, nausea, all those things. But if you eat differently, like slower, eat less. That makes a difference. Sort of like the bariatric surgery, the routine that people have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Right.
similar to the kind of way you have to eat when you start taking these medications?
Well, the interesting thing about that is, the biggest problem I find out is they don't feel like eat. They don't want to eat.
Yeah.
And I mean, they lose their appetite. And they also, yes, when they eat, they don't want to eat as much because, the gastric emptying slows down. The food stays in the gut longer, so they don't have an appetite. And the food stays in their gut longer, so they get full relatively quickly. It's not so much they have to. I mean, you get people who, you find out, are you hungry or you just like to eat? And the people who lose weight, they just like to eat.
Mhm.
And the people who lose weight, even if they're like that, they eat the right things. They stay away from the carbs, or they take in low glycemic carbs, and they take in protein. And then they'll lose weight. But it's not so much, well, you have to do this. It's like this kind of happens on its own.
Mhm.
And actually, when people who gain weight, it's either not affecting them or they're just kind of overcoming that because they want to eat.
Mm. How can you tell if the medication's just not affecting them? Is there a way?
You mean not affecting them? Oh, you mean as far as they were eating and they're gaining weight? Well, you mean like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you talk to them. You see what they're doing. They keep a diary,
Yeah.
and it says it right there.
Truthful diary.
Yeah. Well, and I tell people this. I said, "Oh, I forgot my diary." It's like the dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
I said to them, it's really hard to write something down that's not true. It's one thing to say it, and the reason why they're coming a lot of times is for accountability. So, why lie to me when, I'm trying to help you out? And I tell them, look, I'm a coach. That's all I am. I'm just a coach. You bring your diary in, we'll talk about it. What can you do differently? Look at this stuff there and just, kind of fine tune things for them. I think a lot of it, though, is they got to come in and they have to see me, and I show them what's going on. And so I think that has a lot of motivations. And I'll tell them if they're gaining weight, and I say, well, instead of coming back in a month, or if they're not losing enough weight, I'll say, let me see you back in 2 weeks. And I say to them, I want you to think about me a lot over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, there you go. Keep you in mind. Put your picture up on the refrigerator.
Good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah. Dr. Chuck is watching.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They go through all this trouble of coming to you and getting the medication. That's another issue too. The cost of the medication, being able to get it, because first it's being held available for those who are diabetic, and also heart disease, right? Those who have heart disease and diabetes.
Well, there's two classes there. Yeah, insurance and availability is a big problem. And the guys, when they put this out, they really messed up on it, because when the first came out, the first one was called Saxenda, and that went flying off the shelves, and they ran out of it really quickly. So, well, the first issue was availability. It's really hard to get any of the low dose medications, whether the weight loss medicine or whether the diabetic medicines. And so that's been a problem. And you can't really start somebody up on a higher dose, because what'll happen is they'll get sick as a dog. They'll get really bad. So that's been a problem, and that still is a problem. And the other thing is the insurance companies. A lot of insurance companies won't cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Medicare will cover it. And so it's like $1,200 a month, and people aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
But some of the insurance companies do. It's really a shame too, because this stuff, especially with diabetics, it'll help prevent them from having heart disease or strokes and stuff like that. And until the insurance companies, at least my opinion, until the insurance companies realize that they're losing money because people are having heart attacks and it's costing the insurance company a lot of money down the road, then they'll come around and start letting people, cutting down on the cost of it and allowing it, so it'll help them in the long run.
Definitely. Yeah. So what about the new pill forms that they're trying to get out there for people who want to be on this weight loss program?
Well, the only one that I'm aware of is called Ribelsis, and that's just like Ozempic and like Wegovy. And you have to take it every day. And you start off with a smaller dose, 3 milligrams a day for a month, and then 7 milligrams a day for a month, and then 14 milligrams. And it works.
It works just as well.
It's the same medicine, except that you have to take it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, sometimes that's all you can get. And you say to the patient, listen, we can't get this, but we've got this. And they'll say, okay, we'll take it. And it works.
Mm-hmm.
This as well.
I was reading something about people going through telemedicine to find a certified obesity physician.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have people that do that with you? Are you a telemed doctor at all, or no?
I don't like telemed because,
Okay.
internal medicine is kind of like a hands-on thing. And also you're looking at the laboratory findings, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't had anybody to come to me for this medication through telemed. I'll tell you one thing though, and I haven't looked into it. There are pharmacies around that are doing this compound medication, and I've been told about it, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. And it's a lot cheaper than the brand name. I don't know how legitimate it is, and I don't know how reliable it is, and I don't know how safe it is. I haven't had a chance to look into that. But if it is, it would be a lot less expensive.
Yeah, I went to a health fair yesterday here in our neighborhood, and there was a board-certified nurse practitioner
Mm-hmm.
who is doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing you're talking about. And she has a lot of her patients through the telemed, Zoom, and she's been working with people that way. And she was saying it's a cheaper alternative. But yeah, need to do research to find out more about that.
Right. Yes, you definitely do. The last thing you want to do is hurt your patients.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about it and I've been meaning to look at it, but I just haven't had a chance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so many people out there that have issues with obesity that need to get on some kind of a program.
Definitely. I mean, 2/3 of the country is either overweight or obese. Yes. Yeah, and you think the insurance companies would get smart about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Someday they will. It's really a tragedy. It's a shame because, the one thing about is what's kind of neat about it is, especially with the diabetics, the more you gain weight, the less sensitive your muscle cells come to insulin. The more weight you lose, the more sensitive the cells are to insulin, and insulin makes you gain weight. So if you have less insulin around, it's easier to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads to the problem with heart disease, atherosclerosis, that sort of stuff. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's hopefully we'll get smart to the idea.
Yeah. So the disease of obesity, I was reading an article about how, people in the past have thought that most people who are obese are lazy. That there's more that they can do. And that might be true in some cases. But there's others that the neural pathways from the brain to the gut are not working properly, the hormones. How do you feel about that? Is that?
Well, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
The trouble is with that is you really can't do much about it without medication.
Mm-hmm.
You need to suppress the appetite. And then also you need to regulate yourself as far as eating, even if you're not hungry, just eat to eat. So yeah, that's true that you have that mechanism. One of the things that the medicines do, and even phentermine did it, is it suppresses the appetite, your desire to eat, which is great. And that's probably the biggest benefit from this whole thing, because I've had people who try to lose weight. I'll put them on a 700 or 800 calorie diet, even with supplements. I've got an 800 calorie diet, which is just shakes and bars. And they have a hard time. People have a hard time losing weight if they don't have something to suppress their appetite.
Mm-hmm.
So this mechanism, I think, is, I guess, more getting to the point of what's going on. As far as correcting the problem, the neuroendocrine system, I think that's a long way off before anything's going to be able to be done about that. And, it's going to take medication one way or the other.
Yeah, that's just another science entirely.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about how the medication actually works through different parts of the body. So in the gut, stimulates insulin and suppresses the glucagon.
Okay. Right. And glucagon will cause you want to eat. It causes you get more sugar going in the system.
Yes. Okay, and then in the stomach, it delays gastric emptying.
All right.
So you feel less hungry. Takes more time for you to digest the food. Is that bad in any kind of way? I mean,
well, there's been issues. I heard something about, it can cause bowel obstruction. There's been at least, there's been in one case where a person got bowel obstruction. Yeah, sure, it's possible. But like any other medication, there are some potential side effects for it. But as a physician prescribing this to patients, it's your job to monitor this stuff and, let the patient know what's going on. And if they're having problems, get up with you. But that, again, I've heard of one case on that. So no, by itself, no.
Yeah.
It slows your gut down. And so you don't feel like eating. I mean, you get full quicker. And if you get full quicker, you don't want to. Besides that, appetite suppression as well. So you got two things working to prevent you from eating.
Yeah. I guess if that's what you need. Gosh, I hate feeling full. I like to eat to where I feel just right. The feeling of overeating and fullness is just so uncomfortable.
Yes, it is. It is. And that prevents people from, and that's what's neat about this medicine. It prevents people from eating too much. They'll stop eating to the point where they won't eat enough. They'll skip meals and stuff like that. And that works against them. I mean, it's kind of funny. I tell them, look, you got to eat more in order to lose weight. You don't have enough calories on board, your metabolism's going to slow down. And it's going to be harder to lose weight. So gut slowing down, it really helps a lot.
Yeah.
And the potential for problems with that is really small.
Okay. Same thing with the small intestine, slows digestion.
Right.
Liver reduces fat.
What happens with the liver with this, it prevents the liver from putting out more sugar. Okay, your liver has a glycogen in it, which is a product of, it's a precursor to glucose, and what it does is it prevents that getting into your blood system. It decreases the amount of getting into your blood system. So from that, you're not putting out more insulin, which helps you not gain weight. But I'm not sure what you mean about the fat.
Yeah, maybe that would be the end product, huh?
Well, I mean, people with their overweight or obese or even diabetics, they can get a fatty liver. And the way to prevent that or correct it is by losing weight. But the medication, slows down the amount of sugar coming out of the liver, which, again, people will come in and the diabetics will come in and say, well, my sugar was 100 when I went to sleep and I woke up and it was 120 and I didn't eat anything. I says, well, the body's going to regulate your sugar. And if you need sugar, the liver will dump out glycogen into your system and keep your sugars up. Okay. So.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. In the brain, drugs act on feeding centers to make you feel less hungry. We've already covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. Muscle mass. Do you find that patients that when they do start losing all that weight on a monthly basis or however long they're on the program, do you see that they're losing muscle mass also or no?
Well, what's interesting is I've got it. I have a scale that will tell you how much fat you've lost or gained, as well as tell you how much muscle you've lost or gained. And in all the years that I've been practicing with people who are on a ketonic diet, they hardly lose any muscle at all. And that's what's really neat about the scale. You can look at that. You can see, and if they're losing a significant amount of muscle, you say, listen, you need to eat more protein. And so all in all, I monitor that every time they come in. There really isn't a problem. Now they're on a ketonic diet. Even people I have that are not on a ketonic diet, they're on their own diet. I monitor that well, and that really hasn't been a problem.
So a higher amount of protein than normal. Yeah.
Yeah, like 90 or 105 grams of protein a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that works pretty good. Even the ones that aren't on a diet, I say, look, or the diabetics or people who are on the medicine, I said, you need, if they're gaining weight or not losing a lot of weight, I says, crank up your protein. I said, a gram of protein is 4 calories and a gram of carbs is 4 calories. I said, just replace the carbs with protein, and so that takes a little bit of thinking, trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. But, you can get the same amount of calories out of the protein. So, yeah, I tell them, look, if and stay on low glycemic carbs. Stay away from the high glycemic carbs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, like you said, is, do you want to eat? Got something that really looks good to you. You're not necessarily hungry, but you want to have it. It comes down to motivation. How motivated are you to lose the weight?
Definitely. Are most of your patients a certain age or within a certain age bracket, or no?
No, actually, it's interesting. When it comes to the weight loss program, though, I got a lot of young women,
Yeah.
who come in and they lose weight and they're never happy because they haven't lost enough weight. And I said to them, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I said I could retire.
Oh my gosh.
If they always want to lose more weight than they did. But, yeah, a lot of them are young. Well, in their 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Lose weight. Yeah. Yeah.
So once they reach their target weight loss, do they stay on a low dose medication or do they get off of it?
Like I used phentermine for years and years and years and years. And the biggest problem with phentermine is that it loses its effectiveness after a while. And, it's a controlled substance, so you can't stay on it forever. And even if you could, it loses its effectiveness. And when they get off the medicine, they'll gain the weight back, maybe 2/3 of it back over a period of maybe years or something like that. So with this medicine, I tell people, and I've had more success with this medicine in the short run than I had with phentermine, is that when you get to the weight you want to be at, let's cut back to the dose you were taking before this one and stay on it. You need to stay on it. If you want to keep the weight, as long as you want to keep the weight, you need to be on it. Okay. It's just like medicine for blood pressure or cholesterol or diabetes. It's, you're managing the problem. You're not going to solve it. And so you need to stay on the medicine.
And stay on the diet, the same kind of ketosis diet?
No. I tell the patients, look, now that you're where you're at, be smart in what you do. Okay. Of course, I've been on a diet for a while. And, be smart in what you do. Follow your weight. And if you want to check your weight every day, that's fine. But look at what you're eating. If you're losing weight, we can cut you back further on the medication. If you're gaining weight, you need to be more disciplined about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you need to stay on it. Some people say, well, that's not a good thing about it. Well, internal medicine is mostly management of things. You hardly ever cure anything. Mm-hmm. So if that's a problem, you don't want to be on medicine. You get off this medicine, you're going to start gaining weight again.
Yeah, and then you've got the problems that come along with that.
With the gaining weight?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and all the joint pressure of having all that extra weight.
Yes. Your knees are the first thing to go.
Yeah. Knees, backs, everything.
Right.
Ankles, feet.
Yes. Again, what's nice about it is, you can lose the weight. You can lose. It's not as hard as it used to be. But again, you have to have the motivation to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really haven't had, especially in the weight loss program, people who were not motivated. Some of the people who gain weight, they're not in the quote unquote weight loss medicine. I'll put them on some medicine if they want to do that, and they run their own diet. And if they gain weight, they'll come back in and say, okay, let's see what you're eating and let's adjust the diet. What's nice about it, it's really not that hard to do this. Okay, it's really straightforward. I mean, it really is very encouraging. I mean, the biggest problem we have these days is the insurance company and the drug company not making enough of it. I mean, it's crazy. We have Novo Nordisk up here in Clayton, which is, I don't know, 45 minutes from here, and they put out in the United States. They put out most of the Wegovy and the Ozempic. And they can't keep it going. They can't keep it going. And I know I got a patient who works there on the line, and he says they're putting it out like crazy, and they still can't keep up with it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. But as far as the physiology of everything, it's pretty nice like that too. It hits the areas. It's made to hit the areas to help you lose the weight and keep it off. Keep cutting down the amount of sugar coming out of your liver, slowing down the gut, suppressing your appetite, causing your pancreas to put out more insulin, having the muscle cells be more sensitive to the insulin. All those things are not like phentermine. Phentermine is an amphetamine. It cranks up your metabolism, suppresses your appetite, but it doesn't do any of those other things. And it loses its effectiveness over time. And this medicine doesn't lose its effectiveness over time.
Okay. I wish there was a way too, as far as the cost goes, so expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Affordability, people have to pay out of their pockets.
Well, and the other thing too is that a lot of the companies will give you you can get a coupon from them to cut down on the price. Unfortunately, it's not forever, but it's something to think about. It just kind of, I don't know if it's better to do that and you do it for 3 or 4 months and then you've lost the weight and then you can't get it anymore. And then you gain the weight back. I'm not sure that's better than not taking it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. And, people who want to get on it, if they can, complain to their insurance companies, or when you go looking for insurance, find out one that does. Some of Blue Cross Blue Shield up here in North Carolina will pay for it, but most insurance companies won't pay for it. And I don't know what it's going to take. I think it's just going to take a lot of time and people complaining about it to get on board with this. Because in the long run, they'll say the insurance companies won't have to give you your money back in order to buy the medicine. They'll be able to keep your money because they won't have to pay for heart catheterizations and stents and strokes and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take a while, unfortunately.
We want to keep people healthy, not let them get sick and then try to figure out what to do, and all the costs involved with that.
Right. Now, how to get people not to gain weight in the first place, that's a tough one.
Lifestyle changes right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. The trouble is, people like to eat. One of the things that, people don't exercise. I remember in the 50s and 60s, there weren't too many people around that were obese or even overweight.
Mm-hmm.
That's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed a lot. That's going to take.
As a kid, I can remember, I don't know how it was in your house on a daily basis, but my mom, she used to cook every day. So we never really went out to eat as kids.
Right.
It was so rare. I could probably count on my right hand as a kid how many times we went out to eat. Going out to eat meant going to our families or relatives' houses and all eating together. We really didn't go to restaurants.
Right.
So you had, good home-cooked meals and didn't overeat because guess what? There had to be enough for everybody, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't go to restaurants much at all. Yeah.
So that's really changed, as far as the family atmosphere, with kids and all.
And the food was much better when Mom cooked it.
It was
Much.
better for you, and nowadays our foods, they have so many additives to it and fillers, and you don't even know what you're putting in your body anymore.
This is true. This is true. Also, they give you more of it.
Yeah,
They give you more.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're our own worst enemies
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what I do is if I go to a restaurant, where I get too much food, I'll
right,
just say I'm going to eat half of it, bring the rest home, and eat the rest the next day, because
right.
I don't need to eat that much.
Especially if you don't want to get full, it makes you feel lousy when you get full. So right, you don't eat as much.
Yeah. And staying active, that's so important. I know these days a lot of people, their jobs are sitting,
Right.
and sitting is the worst thing. If you could just get up and move around and do different tasks in between, that's great, but not everybody has that luxury.
Yeah. Well, the thing too is the people for this weight loss thing is that once you lose a significant amount of weight, you have to exercise. If you don't exercise, you're not going to keep losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great motivator. Again, that's one of the things when you plateau out. Are you exercising? How often are you exercising? And you need to do cardio for the most part. I mean, weights is great, but you need to get your heart rate up there so you can burn that fat off.
Yeah,
So,
and just like you invest in the beginning to go to your doctor, to pay for the medication if your insurance isn't covering it, to hold yourself accountable by doing that, why not also hold yourself accountable with a nutritionist, maybe a trainer, that all that accountability helps it to all come together. You're talking about your health here.
right. Well, and the thing about it is that with the weight loss program, people really don't have a hard time going and exercise. And I say, listen, you need to exercise, and they do.
Yeah.
There's no resistance to that.
That's good.
If they've seen some results of the weight loss and they want to keep losing weight, yeah, they pick up on that. I don't have any resistance to that.
That's great.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it really is exciting. I mean, they're excited, and so am I, because they really accomplished something, and it will really help them stay healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Have been. So it's very enjoyable.
Yeah. So a lot of these people have been coming to you for years, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, years. And I've had people even with the fentanyl, I've had people lose a bunch of weight, and after 2 years, they'll come back after they've gained a bunch of it back. But now, if they can get on the other medicine, they that's great. I can get people, they're motivated enough, and whether on fentanyl or this medicine, I can get them to lose 40 pounds if they stick with the diet without a problem. And then they usually run into somewhat of a wall. They lose their motivation. Some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them go on. I've had people lose like 100 pounds, even with the food or with the supplements. They're very motivated by it.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't like that, though.
Really? Wow. I can't imagine going through all that, losing all that weight, and then not wanting to keep moving forward,
Yeah, but they feel so much better. You lose 40 pounds, you feel a lot better.
Mhm.
And it's not so much, and they say, well, I want to lose weight. Well, again, you look at your diet. Well, you're eating this and eating that, and, that's causing you problems. And, it's not in their head. I think it's the general, I don't know what it is, the general overall attitude about things. It's like their body's telling them something different. I'm happy with where I'm at. I feel better. I've got new clothes. I can exercise. My knees don't hurt. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, and they're okay with that. I mean, that's a significant amount of weight to lose, too.
Sure. Yeah, remember that show, The Biggest Loser?
Yes.
Those people, that lost 50, 100 pounds or more, that the majority of those people gained all their weight back. after all that work.
Right. And that's where this medicine comes in, where you don't have to gain it back. I mean, that's the biggest problem with weight loss is that you gain it back. And with this medicine, if you have some sort of discipline, it doesn't take a lot. Again, you've gone and lost all that weight, and you've got medicine that'll help you keep the weight off. And if you start gaining weight back, well, you know what you need to do to lose the weight. It's not because you're hungry; it's because you're eating the wrong things. And you've gone through all that stuff. And if you don't get back on the right diet, it's going to be all for a waste.
Yeah, and the yo-yo dieting is not good for our body for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Weight on, weight off, weight on. All right, Chuck, I think we've covered it all.
The thing about it is if you can get on this medicine and you're serious about losing weight, you can lose the weight and you can keep it off. You can do that. You need a certain amount of discipline, but not a tremendous amount of discipline, a certain amount of discipline. It helps keep your motivation up. The medication helps keep your motivation up.
Find a good doctor that resonates with you.
Right.
Pays attention to you as a person.
Right.
Not just giving you the medication and following the label directions.
Right. And, and I tell people that I said, look, as far as weight loss goes, I said, all I am is a coach. I'm here to keep you accountable and help you fine tune things. That's it.
Yeah. So that we don't have to, later on, you use me as a doctor to deal with your health issues. Instead, let me be your coach, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And, they'll always come in and they'll say, oh, well, don't yell at me. I says, I'm not going to yell at you. I get that all the time. I says, again, I'm just here to coach you and help you fine tune things up.
Let's talk about what went wrong, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they know what went wrong.
Yeah, but you can still talk about it with them. Talk about the pitfalls.
Yes, we do talk about it.
That's a good doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. Reinforce them, encourage them to stay on it, and tell that when between visits, think about me. When you're eating something you shouldn't be, think about me. So what you got to say about this?
Does your card have your picture on it? You should make a larger card with your picture so they can put it right there on the refrigerator.
That's a good idea. I like that.
A talking card that says, "What are you doing?"
Right. Dr. Baio is looking at you.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it is.
Well, Chuck, I really appreciate you coming on and giving people some advice here. Do you have any kind of literature reading that you might recommend that people take a look at, or just go online and do their research?
I just be careful when you go online. I mean, I don't, the keto diet's been around for a long, long time. Well, yeah, a long, long time, but it's become fashionable in the last 5 years. But I've been doing this for 10, 12, 13 years. If you can do it, that's the best way to go. On the diet, you don't have any fruit and you don't have any breads. You have to take supplements. And if you get on another diet, yeah, you can do it like 1,000-calorie diet or 1,200-calorie diet. But it would be good to have a nutritionist if you're going to do something like that. I mean, if you're really serious about it, you need somebody to help you with it. Because it's really hard to do this all by yourself. It's like going to the gym. Well, but if you have somebody to go with, okay, well, they want to go, then I'll go, and you do it together. But as far as having particular literature, I couldn't tell you anything off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah. And also, as far as diet, you're not the only one out there that's difficult when you change your diet in a certain kind of way. It's like diabetics, when they're first diagnosed and they get on insulin or one of the other medications. It's so hard. There's free nutritional programs all the time for diabetics because they need to get used to eating the correct way, the right times of day, checking on their blood sugar to figure out what they need to eat. So there's definitely a science to it.
Oh, there definitely is. Yeah, when it comes to diabetes, yes, you need to educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Educate yourself, and I hate to keep promoting it, but this medicine, like the Ozempic, it really can help you with that. But you need to be on a diabetic diet anyway, and it would be good to have a nutritionist or at least a dietitian
Yeah.
to help you manage this. And also a bariatric physician could help too.
There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Good recommendations.
There you go.
All right, Chuck. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
This is Angela Grayson from the Loving Life Fitness Podcast to help others in their fitness journey. All possible.
It's time to wake up.